Welcome in, Cancerians. This is your reading for the first half of September, where we'll be taking a look at your job and career, love and relationships, and then life path and mission. Before we jump into that, though, we're going to take a look. If you've been watching the daily card pulls, there's been some new decks that have been introduced lately, and this is one of them. So this is a deck. It's about crystals, and then there's also this QR code on the back where it'll play different sounds you can use while you're meditating. But I just wanted to start off with pulling one of these to see what crystal the divine is encouraging you to use during your meditations for the first half of the month. Let's see. Rose quartz, Larimar. And that is about grace, respect, and emotional healing. So there's that. It just kind of is a little bit of something to keep in mind if you have some rose quartz at home. Now, before we dive into those individual areas we had talked about, I just wanted to grab a couple of cards to see what the overall energy is for you for the first half of the month. So a couple things that are happening. On the 14th, we have a new moon in Virgo. And then on the very next day, we have Mercury going direct in Virgo. So this is going to be a time for you to focus on finishing up things that you can get done quickly. So maybe you've had a lot of things on your to-do list and some of them have kind of stalled out. It's a matter of, take a look at that list and which ones can you cross off really fast. So just kind of power through and get those done. We do have Mercury has kind of recently gone into retrograde, and that, remember, is going to affect communication, technology, travel. I feel like it affects timing, like everybody's just kind of half a bubble off. And then Uranus was also kind of the new one to join into that at the end of August, and that's about breaking down barriers and norms. One of the new ones that's starting, so Venus goes direct on the 3rd, and then Jupiter goes retrograde on the 4th. So Jupiter in retrograde is about slower, kind of some fewer opportunities. But it does give you time to expand and grow. So that's something, we'll see that growth period happen through the end of the year, since Jupiter's in retrograde until December 31st. So the overall feel for you for the first half of the month, we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, we have the 10 of Crystals, which is Pentacles, in reverse, and then we have the Hanged Man in reverse. So with your 10 of Pentacles in reverse, that's kind of some domestic instability. Maybe you have issues with debt. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse is kind of like some bad luck and misfortune and maybe some setbacks happening there. And then the Hanged Man in reverse, that's going to be about like stagnation and maybe some needless sacrifice or delays, like you're resisting something, there's some indecision. So it looks like there's some kind of big heavy energies that are weighing on you that are going to be coloring your, like, the first half of the month for you for sure. So that's something I would say we've been seeing a lot of that. Like the energy in the collective right now is so heavy because there are so many planets in retrograde. I mentioned some of them, but we have Venus, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Mercury, and Uranus all in retrograde right now. So it's a lot of really heavy, dense energies. I would definitely encourage you, if you don't already, to work on journaling and not necessarily making huge changes like knee-jerk reactions, but kind of see what energies are flowing through you. So, Venus has a lot to do with communication. It also puts a more reflective lens on your relationships. So sometimes it's kind of that make it or break it energy with relationships. But when it goes direct on the 3rd, you'll feel your energy kind of slowly starting to return. So that'll be a good thing. We'll take a look at jobs and careers first. So in the recent past, we have the 6 of Wands in reverse, Ace of Swords in reverse, and 6 of Swords in reverse. And all of these cards, from both decks, when I shuffle them, it's just coincidence that they're all coming up like that because I do it, where you put them out on the table and you mix them all up. So I do that before I start each of the readings. So they've all been mixed. It just happens to be that they're all coming up in reverse right now. So with the sixes, that's about perseverance. And so your Six of Wands in reverse, there is some kind of like disappointment from a work perspective, maybe a little touch of arrogance, but there's some disappointment there in the recent past, which has kind of pushed you into this sense of confusion and chaos and kind of like a loss of focus there. And that loss of focus and that chaos is going to be leading you into feeling like you're stuck in a rut, that there's maybe some instability, like you're kind of resisting a positive change. Normally in the upright, this card is about like you're going places, you're moving up, there's a positive change coming, but this is about kind of resisting that. So especially with this Wheel of Fortune in reverse energy, like about misfortunes and setbacks and delays, it seems like on the job front, that's certainly ringing true for you for the first half of the month. In terms of some advice there, so Saturn is in retrograde until early November, and that's about how do you attain your goals? Like where should you be focusing your energy on? So this could be an area where how do you get to your goals? Do you even know what your goals are? So something that also goes really well with these journaling exercises, if you get into a regular journaling routine, is also kind of thinking in general about, plans and where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? We'll do our relationship line next, because how are you going to know how to navigate that and what decisions to make if you don't have an end goal in mind? And so that's it's a great line from Alice in Wonderland when she comes to a fork in the road and she sees the Cheshire Cat and asks like which direction or which path she should take. And he says, well, where do you want to go? And she says, oh, it doesn't really matter. And he's like, well, then it doesn't really matter what path you take. So in terms of making decisions as they come up on a daily basis, if you don't know where you're going, what difference does it make what choices you make during the day? So with your love and relationships in the recent past, we have our Six of Pentacles, so the very giving kind of charitable type of energy. But currently you're sitting in this place of like financial struggles and a little bit of lack of control and some overspending. So it looks like your generous nature has left you feeling depleted. And then the next level of energy that's bringing in is, disharmony at home. And a lot of times the Ten of Cups in reverse can mean like a separation. So sometimes this energy, Six of Pentacles, it can either be, that there's this generosity and this doesn't necessarily have to be financial. So Pentacles is going to be your resources, whether that's your money, your time, your energy. And so some of it could either be truly giving from the heart, or it could be, look at me, I'm so great, I'm giving all of this. So some of that's a matter of deciphering how that rings true with you, and really thinking about why have you been giving as much as you have. So, usually if people are giving because they're doing it because they want to be recognized, not because that's what feels right in their soul to do. If they're doing it for recognition, oftentimes people don't stand up and say, yeah, that's the only reason I'm doing it is I want other people to look at me and think, oh, look at how great that person is. But this over giving of your resources, time, energy, money, has left you depleted, and it's going to be causing issues with your relationship. So sometimes the way that looks is if you're the one that's always showing up to the relationship, you're always going above and beyond, you're giving, you're taking care of the other person, always wanting to make sure their needs are being met, but that person's not doing that back, it creates this, if you have a bucket, you've poured all the water out of your bucket, nobody's filling your bucket, and now you're empty. And, and life isn't about, at the end of every single day, I did 3 nice things for you, and you better have done at least 2 nice things for me. some seasons in life, one partner will be giving more support to the other. But at some point, the pendulum has to swing back the other direction. Otherwise, it's just an imbalanced relationship. So what it looks like is it's more of a situation of an imbalanced relationship where one is giving more, one person's giving more than the other. It's creating this imbalance, and it left unchecked, it ends up making the relationship confrontational, or possibly even ending the relationship because of the imbalance. So, all right, let's take a look at life path and mission and see what comes up. So in the recent past, we have our Four of Pentacles in reverse, currently Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and likely outcome is Two of Cups in reverse. And I don't know how it is that all of the, or no, I guess this one was upright. I was going to say all of them, because not all the cards are sitting, black at the top versus purple at the top. So I don't know how all of them ended up, most of them ended up that way. But so on your life path, you were in this also still generous, giving, overspending, so this is kind of common between both of them. In your relationships or love life, there's this over giving, overspending. Also on your mission, in your life path, it's been in that generous, I'll call it maybe overspending, giving. And that is pushing you currently to sit in this misfortune, setbacks, delays, Wheel of Fortune type of, in reverse type of energy, with the next likely outcome, or like the next level of energy being division, rejection, solitude. So it's interesting because actually, even using different cards, and some of them being upright, some of them being reverse, it is the same message here in your relationship as it is in your life path. So whether it's that your life path is specifically involving another person, another relationship, and that's why the two of them have mirrored essentially exactly between this line and this line. So that's something, especially when we look at, you had the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, your overall energy here. You had the Hanged Man in reverse, which is this stagnation. And it's also about needless sacrifice and kind of some indecision there. But, needless sacrifice is popping up in my mind because that is what this energy has been. And then with the, we're talking about our 10 of Crystals, which is our 10 of Pentacles in reverse, which is domestic instability and debt. So you've been giving more than you should be. So that is definitely the message that's coming out here, is you need to balance that so that you're not overexert or overspending, overstretching yourself. So whether that's because you're holding on to something you shouldn't be holding on to, but you think, oh, if I just keep giving a little bit more, things will turn around. Or, whether there's some inner wounds or inner healing that needs to be done related to that. Sometimes that's, it's tied to issues of worthiness, like feeling like I'm not good enough on my own 2 feet. I have to be giving and giving to make people like me. Like sometimes that's part of the issue there. So Chiron is still in retrograde, and that's like healing your identity. That's kind of the, it's the wounded healer. So figuring out what is it within you that compels you to give too much of yourself when you're not getting it back. And then also Pluto is in retrograde until October 10th, and that's about power struggles and kind of challenging your toxic behaviors. So for you, if this message is resonating with you, for you, your toxic behavior is overgiving. So the Gaia card that came out was Yin Yang, creating harmony through balance. So this is kind of that whole idea of, North Node moved into Aries in the middle of July. And it was really about having that healthy level of selfishness in terms of putting your own needs first, kind of that idea of, when you're in the airplane and they say, adjust your mask first before helping those around you. There's been so much of this energy of, I want to help other people. I want to take care of other people. I want to put them first. But what about you? So it's really about needing to find that balance. This was the card that jumped out. You're very close to achieving your goal. So maybe you've had some ideas about what you need to do with that. So that one's a little bit, I would say, kind of inconsistent with the rest of the messages. So let me pull one. A fiery climax approaches. So looking at that one, I would say something, kind of something's gotta give, because even as we were looking at the job and career path, so some of this was, like we talked about, kind of this disappointment type of energy, and kind of a lack of focus, or lack of focus in your current energy, with this resistance to change and feeling like you're stuck in a rut. So this fiery climax that's approaching, whether it's down here in this area or whether it's from a work perspective, because if you've been feeling like you're stuck in a rut at work and you're kind of resisting a positive change, maybe that fiery climax will come in the form of, your company is downsizing and now you're forced to have to look at something a little bit differently. All right, let's take a look at another card here. You're stronger than you realize. So I would say putting that here with this message of why are you like overspending? And then the other card that I just pulled is there's no shortcut to healing. So some of it here, you're stronger than you realize. You don't need to be doing this in order to keep your relationship on good, solid ground, or in order to feel like you're making a difference on your life path. Like, your purpose isn't to essentially run yourself into the ground, like that kind of martyr type of complex. So with the whole thing of there's no shortcut to healing, some of that really does need to be healed in order for you to move forward in a balanced way where you're feeling happy, fulfilled. So definitely over the coming season, like I said, I would work on journaling and kind of trying to identify what some of these issues might be. And it is really heavy energy right now. So hopefully some of that, with Venus going direct and then Mercury going direct in the middle of the month, hopefully that will help. We also did have the big supermoon, and so that's usually about closing out cycles. So hopefully some of these types of patterns will be closing out so that you're not looping through that again. But I hope this has been a helpful message. If this is information that you think somebody else could benefit from, I would welcome you to share it. There are going to be some additional videos posting on the channel here within the next week or so. So if you want to be alerted as to when those come out, like our twin flame video, hit the subscribe and notification bell. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.